All right, guys, woods improvement. This is part of phase 2 of my plans, and we have now officially removed some dangerous trees. You can see here there just wasn't much holding it together, completely rotted in the middle, and that would have gotten worse over time. But at the same time, you know, this living material was probably strong enough to hold it as long as the tree is sheltered, especially when you're next to a bushy beech tree like that one. Kind of shields it from a lot of nasty wind. There's number 2 out of the way. You can see not much left, completely rotted. So I've got 2 things here that I'm doing. Actually 3 things that I'm doing. One, why did I wait so long if I knew that I was going to cut these down last year? Why not go ahead and do it last year? Well, last year when I made up my mind, because I kept getting more and more lean out into the roadbed here, they had a lot of green leaves on them. And I made the dedication to myself to wait until those trees sent their nutrients back down into the roots during the winter. And now when these sprouts come back, they will be in much more nutritious shape than if I had cut these trees green. So I'm giving them a full burst of nutrients that this ground can provide, and deer will be constantly hitting these 2 until the stumps are dead, or it grows so fast that it gets above the eating line, and then I'll trim it back again until the tree eventually dies. But I have, one is patience, waiting for the right time. I would like to have cut this about 3 or 4 weeks sooner, but as you can see with, get out of the sun here, as you can see with the wind, the way the wind's blowing, it's been very difficult to pick good days to come out here. It's that time of year for us where winds can be really rough, or they might be calm, and sometimes they don't get it right and sometimes they do. And there's times where they called for calm winds. I had my stuff packed to come up here and step outside and it's 20 miles an hour. It happens. So I've reduced the trees now. Today's wind is probably around 15 to 20 max. Sustained of 10 to 15, but looks really good. A lot more sunlight, as you can see now. The sun's beaming in here. A lot more light. Looks really good. I also took the time to take a beech tree limb off. I can keep that sun glare out. The bottom left side of the beech tree had a big limb overhanging and shadowing out the area. So now it is out of the way. And then we'll go over here to the other part of phase 2. Improvements do not have to be on a massive scale if you're on small tracts of land. You just look for things that you can, hey, you know, if I get rid of this tree, it's going to greatly benefit this tree that deer need. Then, you know, that's something you might want to target and look for ways to improve it. So over here, that is exactly what's happened. Now, if you want large-scale improvements, you can call a forester in, and they will come out here and mark off your territory. You tell them what you want and what trees you want to leave, and as long as they're, you know, a well-known or highly rated group, they tend to do what you say. Others may be a little shady, but you can at least call somebody out to help you out. So here, phase 2, right? Red bud. Deer love red buds. You can see it budded out down there on the end. I'll let the deer eat whatever they want. This tree will lay and rot. Right there is the hemlock that I set out that's still green. So I cut this guy down. You can see where it split a long time ago here. So we have sucker sprouts that will come back. Deer will devour these when they show up. This was still alive. It's been laying on the ground like this for 3 years, alive. Now I've cut it back to right there, and I'll let these sprouts open up anywhere, even along this root. If it wants to pop them up there, it can. And I'll let deer devour everything out of this area. Another biggie. All right, my goal overall is to free up oak trees. So a cedar tree, let me get some better angle. This sun is just absolutely killer this evening. So better angle, much better. So this tree is now dead. Will not sucker back. And a nutrient competitor is gone. A moisture competitor is gone. And a sunlight competitor. Now granted, this tree was well above what that cedar was. But remember how my ground has performed outside of the food plots. It has been very poor. So anywhere I find an opportunity to boost nutrition in these trees, it's worth it. So this tree will slowly decay. Cedars decay very, very slow. Also the acidity that cedars create. Once this tree's completely rotted down, then that acidity will break down. But until then, it will leach additional acidity in my soil. But because it is dead, I have put a limit on it instead of letting it grow and keep producing more and more acidity. So now these roots will rot. All these competing trees will be devouring whatever nutrients those roots contain. And that's another reason when you're cutting cedar trees, same concept over here. It's just I'm not counting on sucker sprouts, because if deer's eating cedars here, I've got a serious problem. But the nutrients are stored in the roots, so therefore they're deeper. And that is free fertilizer now, once that starts decaying. So that tree will probably be expired under the ground in a few weeks, and it'll be over. But here, I love it. We have nice big opportunity here. This oak tree is nearly free. You know, I don't have permission to cut that tree down, but the canopy structure for this tree and its future, as long as it's not struck by lightning or winds knock it down, has a fantastic opportunity to be a heavy nut producer. And if you look carefully, let's see if I can zoom in here cautiously. You can see it's got good growth on the end of the limbs. All right, I got rid of a major competitor there. And because I did that, this tree here should pick up in growth. Now the next one. This to me is a bigger win because of the location of the tree. There's your red bud. So here, big time competitor gone. This tree here was growing really healthy and was stealing valuable sunlight, nutrients, and moisture. I need as much moisture in here as I can get. See that huge rock? These trees are growing on rock cliffs. Soil is at a premium here. Nutrients are at a premium here because it's very constricted with these rocks and some of these underground caves that's in here. Now maybe the roots have tapped into an extremely high moisture content under here. It's very possible, which is fine. These trees won't have any issue when it comes to moisture if that's happened. But now the tree that was between them is gone. They can compete with each other now for space. I'm fine with that. Now if you're being more specific about what you want to do here, you know, this tree here would be a candidate to cut down and leave this one. If you're thinking about timber value, that one's straighter and is growing at a faster, healthier pace than say his competitor here. I mean, he's not doing bad, but he's leaning. I mean, I wouldn't be that picky. I would just leave both of them in my book. and treat it like one tree functioning together, because there's a high probability that these roots have grafted together under the ground and functioning like one tree. So they will do a nutrient share to each other. All right, guys. Next thing to do is to clean up the island and finish cutting up that dead oak. And that will wrap up a decent portion of phase 2. I still got a couple more things that I want to do, and if I can get permission to do so, I will continue on, and then that will end the project for right now. But it doesn't have to be monstrous improvements. And you can see I did pull out some of these limbs here so the deer can cross over this easily. They cross through here a lot, but I left the top, and they can use that for a protective barrier if they need it. I'm sure they'll eventually have a fawn laying in there somewhere, but that's really not that great a cover. But it is better than nothing, considering that was wide open ground. All right, guys, hope you liked the video. And again, small improvements can be great improvements on small tracts of land. You don't have to come in here and cut everything down. You can pace yourself if you're by yourself, or if you want to do large scale improvements, you can call your local forester, if I can speak, forestry department. I think forestry is a challenge. And call them, schedule a time and an area you want to map out and clean up. All right, guys, have a good one.